Anyone on a cruise ship could get caught up in those tense onboard fights that sometimes break out. Why do I say that? Well, recently, during a 7-night sailing with Royal Caribbean, a heated altercation broke out between at least 2 passengers, something that definitely shouldn't have happened on vacation. And honestly, Royal has been making the headlines lately, even more than Carnival. Right, drop a comment below if you've noticed that too. But anyway, the growing number of these brawls on cruise ships is becoming a real concern for travelers who just want a relaxing, drama-free getaway. So, how can we prevent this and make sure our cruise stays calm and enjoyable? Let's find out on today's episode of Cruise Now. Before we dive into some real advice for genuine cruise lovers, let's start with the latest headline-making story. A full-blown fight that broke out aboard Royal Caribbean's Harmony of the Seas during what was supposed to be a relaxing 7-night Western Caribbean cruise. The ship had just departed from Galveston, Texas, with its first 2 days spent peacefully at sea, until things took a sharp turn. 2 streamers, David Ryan and Dave Willis, reportedly got into a heated argument about another content creator, and it didn't stop at words. Witnesses say it quickly escalated into punches, shoving, and chaos, with furniture flying and both men wrestling on the floor. Passengers watching the scene said the two had been drinking heavily throughout the night, streaming live and provoking others with rude comments. In fact, earlier in the cruise videos surfaced showing them bothering other guests, knocking on decorated cabin doors, and even asking if people were swingers, filming everything for views. Another incident occurred in Studio B on Deck 4 during a game show event where one of the streamers blocked the audience's view with his camera, taunting nearby guests just to capture their reactions. Eventually, ship security stepped in, not for the first time that night, and detained the 2 men. When the ship reached Roatan, Honduras, both were escorted off and left to find their own way home. Violators can face a range of consequences including intervention by ship security, loss of onboard privileges or cabin confinement, immediate removal from the ship, lifetime bans from future cruises. As of now, it's confirmed that both streamers were removed from the Harmony of the Seas on November 5th, though Royal Caribbean hasn't stated whether they'll be banned across the entire cruise group. Personally, I think it's only a matter of time. And it might even spark a rethink about onboard live streaming and challenge videos by influencers chasing clicks. Yes, it's part of our digital era, but even that should have limits. Sure, alcohol played a role, but so did poor judgment ego and attention-seeking behavior. All these small sparks can easily build into something dangerous when mixed together at sea. So here's the real question. Do you want to be part of that chaos? Probably not. And the good news is, avoiding it is easier than you think. Coming up next, I'll share the key strategies to help you stay far away from onboard fights and make sure your cruise stays peaceful, safe, and unforgettable. 1. Avoid drunken arguments. Let's be real. Nothing good ever comes from mixing alcohol and ego at sea. On a cruise, you'll see plenty of people enjoying drinks, and that's perfectly fine. But there's always a line between having fun and being the person who turns happy hour into fight night. When you spot someone getting too loud, stumbling around, or slurring their words, take that as your cue to steer clear. Drunk people fall into 2 types, the ones who want to hug you and the ones who want to hit you, and neither is what you want on vacation. If you're drinking yourself, know your limit. There's no need to prove anything to anyone. Remember, it's not about being the life of the party. It's about being smart enough to avoid becoming someone's problem. Alcohol lowers your judgment, and even innocent teasing can turn ugly fast. So if you see tension rising or tempers flaring, do the smartest thing: you can walk away. Nothing ruins a cruise faster than a brawl that could have been avoided with a deep breath and a few steps in the opposite direction. 2. Set boundaries with your travel companions. Most fights on cruises don't happen between strangers. They happen between people traveling together. You might love your friends or family, but that doesn't mean you need to be together 24/7. Before your trip even starts, sit down and agree on a few cruise rules. Maybe you'll always eat dinner together, but do your own thing during the day. Or maybe everyone gets one solo day to explore without guilt. Setting boundaries doesn't make you selfish. It keeps the peace. Because when expectations aren't clear, resentment builds fast. Someone wants to sunbathe, someone else wants trivia, and before you know it, you're arguing instead of relaxing. Cruises are supposed to be fun, not a test of who controls the itinerary. So, talk it out early. Make space for everyone's preferences. The goal isn't to do everything together, it's to enjoy the trip together. Boundaries are what keep good memories from turning into grudges. 3. Don't engage in chair hog wars. Ah yes, the great deck chair drama. It's one of the most ridiculous yet common triggers for cruise ship arguments. You know the type someone wakes up at 6 a.m., throws a towel and flip-flops on 5 loungers, then disappears for hours. Chair hogs are annoying, sure, but confronting them isn't worth it. Don't fall into the trap of trying to play pool deck justice warrior. Taking someone's towel, moving their stuff, or calling them out loudly might feel satisfying in the moment, but it can spiral fast. You're not going to teach them a lesson. You're just starting a fight that ruins your day. Instead, let crew members handle it. Most cruise lines have rules about chair saving, and staff can quietly enforce them without drama. Or better yet, find a quieter deck. There's always one that's half empty. You're on vacation to unwind, not to get caught in a turf war over sun loungers. The ocean view is big enough for everyone. 4. Avoid sensitive topics with strangers. You never know who you're talking to on a cruise. That nice couple at dinner. They might have completely different political, religious, or personal beliefs from yours. And while it's great to have deep conversations, a cruise ship is not the place to debate hot-button issues. Avoid bringing up politics, religion, or anything divisive. Even jokes about them can backfire. What feels harmless to you might hit someone else's nerve, and suddenly, the friendly chat turns tense. Keep it light. Talk about destinations, shows, or favorite cruise foods. Save the heavy stuff for another day. People are on vacation to escape stress, not to be reminded of the world's problems. The key to staying out of drama is simple: don't invite it. And if someone else starts a touchy conversation, smile, nod, and excuse yourself. You can't control what others say, but you can control how long you stay in that conversation. 5. Respect shared spaces. Cruise ships are floating cities. And just like any city, they only work when people respect each other's space. That means following the basic unwritten rules: don't cut the buffet line, don't blast your Bluetooth speaker, and, for the love of all things peaceful, don't shout on your speakerphone. Nobody wants to hear your full conversation with Aunt Judy while they're trying to enjoy a sea breeze. It's easy to forget that everyone around you paid for the same relaxing experience you did. Most onboard conflicts start not from big issues, but from little irritations that pile up. So, think of respect as your ticket to a smoother cruise. When you treat shared spaces like your own living room, clean, calm, and courteous, you'll not only avoid fights, but you'll also create a better atmosphere for everyone. Plus, nobody ever looked bad for being the chill passenger everyone else wishes they were. 6. Handle dining disputes gracefully. You wouldn't think dinner could turn violent, but on a cruise, emotions can simmer faster than soup. Maybe someone takes too much shrimp at the buffet. Maybe a fellow diner doesn't follow the dress code. Or maybe a stranger at your shared table starts lecturing you about tipping. Suddenly, what should have been a pleasant meal turns awkward. The key: keep calm and don't engage. If something bothers you, either quietly mention it to the waiter or just let it go. The dining staff are trained to handle tricky situations. You're not. And honestly, is a side of drama really worth ruining your dessert? If you're sitting with strangers, keep conversations light and respectful. Don't comment on what others eat or wear. And if someone says something rude, don't fire back. Just smile and change the topic. 7. Learn to walk away. Every cruise ship argument has a point where it can still be stopped. The trick is recognizing it early. If someone's voice gets sharp, if their body language shifts, or if your own pulse starts to rise, that's your cue. Step back, leave, breathe. Fights don't just ruin vacations, they can end them. Cruise lines take altercations seriously. You could be confined to your cabin, kicked off at the next port, or banned for life. And let's be honest, losing your future cruising privileges might hurt more than a bruised ego. Walking away doesn't make you weak, it makes you wise. You're not on a cruise to prove a point. You're there to enjoy every sunset and cocktail you paid for. So when things start to heat up, remember, 5 minutes of silence is worth more than 5 hours of paperwork with ship security. Your peace is priceless. 8. Mind your body language. Sometimes you don't even need to say a word to start a fight. Your face or posture can do it for you. On a cruise ship, emotions run high, spaces are tight, and everyone's sharing the same decks. That's why reading and controlling your body language matters. A sarcastic smirk, an eye roll, or even just staring too long can be taken the wrong way. And yes, that includes checking people out. You might think you're being subtle, but if someone catches you ogling their partner, or worse, if their partner catches you, congratulations, you've just created a scene. Likewise, walking around with a "don't mess with me" face, you know the one can make strangers defensive for no reason. So keep your energy relaxed. Smile politely, make space for others, and avoid any facial expressions that could look judgmental or aggressive. Remember, you're surrounded by thousands of strangers, and not everyone shares your sense of humor or your chill level. One wrong look can turn a calm sea into a storm. How 9? Let staff handle confrontations. You might feel the urge to step in when you see someone acting out. Maybe a drunk passenger causing a scene or a rude guest yelling at the crew. But here's the thing, playing hero on a cruise ship almost never ends well. You're not Batman, you're on vacation. Every ship has trained security and guest services staff for a reason. They know how to de-escalate situations without turning them into chaos. If you step in, you could make things worse or even get blamed yourself. And if the confrontation turns physical, you could be the one facing consequences, not the person who started it. So don't take matters into your own hands. If something feels wrong or unsafe, walk away and report it. You paid for the cruise, which includes the people who keep it safe. Let them do their job. The smartest passengers are the ones who stay out of trouble, not the ones who try to win arguments with strangers. Stay cool, stay calm, and let the crew take care of the rest. But here's the hope: most cruisers are good people. Respectful, kind, and just there to enjoy the ocean. And as awareness grows, maybe, just maybe, we'll see fewer fights and more sunsets shared in peace. Until then, cruise smart, stay chill, and keep your vacation drama-free. When people imagine a cruise vacation, they often picture unlimited buffets, sparkling ocean views, and colorful cocktails by the pool. It's a fantasy of freedom, where the normal limits of daily life seem to dissolve into the horizon. But when that freedom collides with tragedy, questions emerge that the cruise industry has long tried to keep below deck. That is exactly what's happening to Royal Caribbean International, which now faces a wrongful death lawsuit after a 66-year-old woman fell overboard during a Taylor Swift-themed cruise in October 2024. Her daughter claims that Royal Caribbean's popular unlimited drink package encouraged overdrinking and played a direct role in her mother's death. This single lawsuit has opened a wider conversation about alcohol culture at sea, and whether cruise lines are doing enough to protect passengers from the very indulgence they promote. The story centers on Dulcie White, a retired woman from the United States, who boarded a Royal Caribbean ship with her daughter Megan Kwan for a fan-organized Taylor Swift-themed cruise. It was meant to be a light-hearted getaway filled with music-themed parties and mother-daughter bonding. According to court documents, Dulcie purchased Royal Caribbean's deluxe beverage package, which allows guests to order unlimited alcoholic drinks for a fixed daily rate. Over roughly 6 hours, she was allegedly served 7 alcoholic beverages, a number that, while not extraordinary across an entire day, can be dangerous depending on personal tolerance, hydration, and concurrent factors such as heat or seasickness. Megan later told investigators that her mother appeared visibly intoxicated that evening. A helpful passenger assisted the two back to their cabin. Their luggage, for reasons unclear, was left out on the balcony. When Megan next saw her mother, she was sitting on the balcony railing, and moments later she fell into the darkness below. The ship continued sailing. Her body was never recovered. For Megan, the horror of that night still defines her life. "They didn't even search for her," she said in her statement. "They just kept sailing." The daughter's lawsuit, filed in federal court under the High Seas Act, alleges that Royal Caribbean is responsible for her mother's death because of negligent overservice of alcohol and an unsafe business model that encourages excessive drinking. The complaint argues that the all-inclusive drink package promotes a mindset of drinking to get your money's worth, which in turn incentivizes both guests and crew members to ignore moderation. Crew behavior is a particular point of contention. Bartenders often rely heavily on tips, and serving more drinks to guests who are already drinking heavily can translate into larger gratuities. The lawsuit claims this created a conflict of interest between passenger safety and employee earnings. Royal Caribbean, as expected, declined to comment on the pending litigation. Maritime law often limits the damages a family can recover, especially under the Death on the High Seas Act DOHSA. But Megan Kwan has said the family's priority is not money. Instead, she hopes to expose what she sees as a dangerous flaw in cruise industry policy. To understand this case, it helps to examine the culture that cruise lines have built around alcohol. Most major cruise companies, including Royal Caribbean, Carnival, and Norwegian, offer daily drink packages priced between $65 and $100 per person per day. For passengers, the appeal is obvious. They can enjoy themselves without constantly calculating the cost. For the cruise line, drink packages are one of the most profitable onboard revenue streams, second only to casino gaming and shore excursions. However, the economics also create a subtle behavioral trap. Once a traveler pays $80 a day for unlimited drinks, there's a strong psychological impulse to maximize value, to drink as much as possible regardless of personal limits. Maritime safety experts note that this can erode the culture of moderation that responsible alcohol service depends on. "It's not that every guest is overserved," says one cruise industry consultant. "It's that the pricing mode L itself encourages people to push their own boundaries." Statistically, overboard incidents are rare. According to the Cruise Lines International Association, CLIA, roughly 30 people a year fall overboard out of more than 20 million annual cruise passengers worldwide. But rarity doesn't make the problem less serious. Each case brings intense public scrutiny and exposes gaps in prevention and response. Royal Caribbean, like all major cruise lines, maintains that its crews follow strict responsible service policies, and that it trains bartenders to refuse drinks to visibly intoxicated passengers. Yet enforcement at sea is tricky. Cruise ships are floating cities, with dozens of bars, clubs, and lounges operating simultaneously. Tracking a passenger's total alcohol intake across multiple venues is nearly impossible. As one former Royal Caribbean bartender said, "The expectation is to keep guests happy. If you cut someone off, you'll probably get a complaint. If you keep pouring, you'll get tipped." From a corporate perspective, the risk may seem statistically negligible. Millions of passengers purchase drink packages every year without major incident. But when tragedy strikes, the optics are devastating. A product designed to enhance enjoyment becomes the symbol of excess, and of a company allegedly prioritizing profit over people. This tension highlights an uncomfortable truth. The cruise industry operates on calculated risk. Every policy, from alcohol sales to shore excursion logistics, is balanced between safety liability and revenue. In corporate terms, the question often becomes, do we solve for the exception or manage the exception? Meaning, should companies redesign systems for rare tragic outliers, or simply accept that no system can eliminate every risk. However, in human terms, even one preventable death is one too many. And falling overboard is only part of the problem. Unlimited drink packages have also fueled countless fights and onboard chaos across many cruise ships. Carnival may be infamous for its rowdy atmosphere, but incidents of drunken brawls seem to be happening more frequently on ships everywhere, with alcohol almost always being the common factor. So why do unlimited drink packages remain so appealing despite the risks? The answer lies in a mix of psychology and marketing. Cruise companies present these packages as freedom, the ability to order whatever you want, whenever you want, without financial guilt. In a controlled environment, like a ship, that sense of freedom feels safe. After all, no one has to drive home. But freedom can easily slide into excess, especially in a party-centric setting, where alcohol is woven into almost every social activity: trivia, games, pool parties, formal dinners, and late-night karaoke. For many, it's harmless fun. Yet, the same system that encourages one guest to enjoy a celebratory cocktail can push another into dangerous territory. In that sense, the lawsuit against Royal Caribbean is not just about one death. It's about the culture of drink more, worry less that the industry has subtly normalized. Industry analysts have suggested several possible reforms. 1. Set a maximum drink limit per day, enforced across all bars through digital wristbands or cabin card tracking. 2. Introduce time-based serving gaps, preventing passengers from ordering back-to-back drinks. 3. Provide real-time monitoring through onboard systems to flag excessive orders. 4. Shift incentives for crew, emphasizing safety and responsible service over tip volume. 5. Offer tiered drink plans, allowing moderate drinkers to opt for lighter packages. These measures could reduce both overconsumption and legal exposure, but they come with trade-offs. Tracking drinks digitally requires costly software upgrades and raises privacy questions. Stricter limits could also frustrate guests who view cruising as a chance to unwind without restrictions. So far, no major cruise line has announced plans to alter its drink package model in response to the lawsuit. Online reactions to the case have been divided. Many sympathize with Megan Kwan's loss and support the call for reform. Others argue that personal responsibility must still matter, that adults should know their limits regardless of a prepaid package. A smaller but vocal group criticizes what they call nanny state expectations. One commenter on a cruise forum wrote, "You can't blame the buffet if you overeat. Why blame the bar if you overdrink?" Taken together, this story suggests a deeper truth. The cruise industry is struggling to reconcile its image as a carefree escape with its responsibility as a global hospitality operator. As for Royal Caribbean, the outcome of the Dulcie White lawsuit could set a precedent. If the court rules that the drink package model inherently promotes unsafe behavior, cruise lines may face a wave of policy reviews and potential legal exposure. But if the court sides with the company, it will reinforce the status quo. That personal responsibility, not corporate design, determines what happens after the third or seventh drink. As ships continue to sail under banners of luxury and freedom, this case may serve as a quiet reminder that every toast at sea carries weight, and that beneath the shimmer of the ocean, some choices can never be taken back.